John and Ken Show, John Cobelt and Ken Shampoo. California, the state with the worst business climate, the worst government financial situation. And here comes Jerry Brown with a big campaign to raise everybody's sales tax and income taxes on those making $250,000 or more. And he's lied about it like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, really, right before we went on vacation, we told you that one of the worst Jerry Brown quotes we saw, we actually had the sound of it, was that my new tax initiative is a millionaire's tax. And the reporter said, well, no, it kicks in at $250,000 a year. Well, those people could eventually be millionaires if they save.
In 4 years.
That still doesn't work. You have expenses. You have taxes taken out. You don't make $250,000 a year net every year for 4 years.
I know. He's an idiot. You know, he's
a bumbler.
He's a liar. But
he knows that slogan was working for his competitors. That was the California Federation of Teachers, which had their competing tax initiative, which was indeed a tax that kicked in beginning at $1 million a year in income. So Jerry Brown barred it because the polls show it works. Just call it the millionaire's tax, when that's a lie.
The signature gatherers are out lying to people out in the streets. And we're going to talk to John Kupal from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, because they have started a campaign to fight the lies and fight the tax petition.
They have a website, www.nonewtaxes.net, which has some good stuff, including a great fact sheet, which we'll talk about.
John, how are you?
Great. How are you guys doing?
We're good. What are Jerry Brown's signature gatherers doing? What are they telling people to get them to come over to the table?
Yeah, I mean, look, these guys are hired guns. They've got no stake in this other than they get paid $2, $3, $4 a signature. A lot of them are clueless, but they will do or say anything to get people to sign these petitions. And what they're saying is, hey, do you want to help education? Do you want to make sure education is fully funded? Do you want to help public safety? They don't talk about the tax increases at all. And if you press them on it, they say, well, does this raise taxes? They'll say something like, well, just on millionaires. I mean, they will parrot what Jerry Brown has already said.
So they don't mention the sales tax on everybody?
No, of course not, because that is very unpopular with everybody, with the 99% as well as the 1%. So there is a lot of disinformation out there, and the campaign that we're launching today is just a truth campaign. If you see someone collecting these signatures, I mean, we're not suggesting anybody be confrontational, but you have the right to ask them, how much are you getting paid for this? Ask them if this petition would raise their taxes or not. And by the way, when you go to look at the petition, the top of it, the wonderful title that Kamala Harris gave this initiative is called, it's very innocuous. It says, the Schools and Local Public Safety Protection Act of 2012.
How can I ask you seriously?
Sure.
How could a partisan state attorney general write misleading propaganda for the title?
Because she's partisan.
But I mean, why is that legally allowed? Why isn't there something which says that the title has to indicate, the specific aspects of the referendum? That if there's a tax increase involved, the whole purpose is to raise taxes. The whole purpose. So why can't they, by law, you have to? It's like truth in advertising. You have to state that this is a tax increase right at the top of the title.
The primary purpose of the initiative does have to be put in the body of the summary, which is right underneath the title. There's a lot of discretion. Now, those who want to challenge a title and summary in court, we have two bites at the apple. We have one bite when they publish the petitions, which quite frankly, because few people actually read those things, that's less important than what goes in the official ballot pamphlet. And we will make sure, we will review very carefully what the Attorney General puts as a title and summary in the official ballot pamphlet, because if it is false and misleading, and that's the legal test, if it's false or misleading, then we can get it changed, and we've won those lawsuits before.
Because why can't they put in something that I'll even give them the Protection Act, tax increase to protect local schools?
Right. One of the bills that we've sponsored this year, guys, is a bill that would give the ability to write the titles and summaries to the legislative analyst, which tends to be a more nonpartisan, more of a bureaucratic, less politically driven post. It's not perfect. And as you may recall, we won our lawsuit against the legislature for the title and summary that they wrote on the high-speed rail, which was very, very one-sided. But this is the political dynamic we've got in California. The majority party has both houses of the legislature and all the constitutional officers, and that's the world we live in, and that is why it's so important that when people are confronted at Target or Walmart with these petition gatherers, they ask the tough questions. Ask them, hey, what will this do to the economy? What is the money going to be used for? Here's the biggest lie of all, is the fact that it's going to be earmarked for education. It's not. It goes into the state's general fund.
So the idea that it's protecting local schools, that in itself is dishonest.
That in itself is dishonest, and that is one of the things that Molly Munger, with one of the competing initiatives, is out there excoriating the governor for saying that it's his earmark. Is not. And so actually we're getting help from one of our adversaries who's got another tax increase that she's collecting signatures on. But
so this money,
that's Molly Munger.
Right. So this referendum on the Jerry Brown tax increase, it does not mention that it's a tax increase in the title. The signature gatherers are not mentioning that it's a tax increase. They're claiming it goes to the schools. There's no requirement that it does go to the schools. It's going to go into the general treasury.
True.
I mean,
true. And if you press them on it, if they do talk about taxes at all, they will again follow Jerry's lead and say it's just a millionaire's tax.
When it's a sales tax on everybody. Yeah.
John, the way I read this, then the idea is A, perhaps to slow them down, and B, perhaps to have other people that are wandering around who have no idea the detail and nuance of this to hear the questions you're asking and get informed.
Yes, I think this is twofold. The reality is it's unlikely that we can stop them. They're paying a lot of money for these signatures, but you never know if we slow them down enough. Because there was that robocall that was out there with Jerry. He's got a mail piece out that suggests to us that his signature gathering may not be going as smoothly as he wants it to.
That's what I thought too. It's like, why does he feel the need to do that, to campaign over the phone for people if it should be an automatic to get enough signatures?
And if we can slow them down, we may be able to stop them. And if we can't stop them, we can certainly make the whole process more expensive for them, and that's what we want to do.
Their mailer says their deadline's April 20th. Is that true?
Thereabouts. I mean, it's kind of a moving target deadline. I mean, they got expedited treatment from the Attorney General and the LAO, the legislative analyst, on the processing of the title and summary. I suspect they will apply political pressures to try to get the signatures verified quickly as well. Now, whether or not the local registrars of voters will accommodate those requests is unknown. But I suspect the 20th sounds about right, but if they have to go a few days later, they probably can.
I got one more thing here. In your fact sheet, the Jerry Brown, and we've talked about this, Jerry Brown budget plan would increase spending another 7% in the fiscal year beginning July 1st. He's running around screaming about horrible budget cuts. How does that square with this 7% increase? This seems to be another outright lie.
The trend line for government is continued growth. It's been that way for decades. And government is the only growth industry in the state of California. Lord knows we've driven all the other businesses out. But government continues to be a growth industry. And they don't do the things they need to do to make the use of our taxpayer dollars more efficient. We continue to have the highest paid state employees in the nation. And when these guys don't get their scheduled raises, they scream bloody murder, let alone reductions. I mean, a lot of people in the private sector have had pay reductions or been laid off. And really, government is not held to the same standard, and we're paying the price for it.
So he's got no budget cuts in his fiscal year upcoming. There's not, but it's a 7% spending increase.
It's a 7%.
And that's why he wants this new tax revenue, to accommodate the 7% spending increase.
Well, the the real need for the additional revenue is that the PERS and STRS just announced that they were going to slightly reduce their projected returns on value, which means...
And that's the pension funds.
That's the pension fund, and that means that the state is actually going to owe a whole lot more money to PERS. So a lot of the tax increase, to the extent that it, if it's approved, a lot of it will be going to pay the public employee pensions.
All right, John, thanks for talking to us again. The website is nonewtaxes.net. That's John Kopal from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. And by the way, that fact sheet John referred to, you can actually click. You go to our website, KFIAM640.com, go to the John and Ken page, and you can find your way to the nonewtaxes.net website, where there's a fact sheet which talks about how California's income tax is third highest in the U.S., sales tax is fourth highest, capital gains tax fourth highest, gas tax is second highest.
Sales tax is the highest as far as a state rate. There are other states where local counties and cities have made it higher than the highest in California, but we do have the highest state sales tax rate.
California state and local government employees are the highest paid in all 50 states. It's got a lot of good information on it. You should take a copy and pass it out to the uninformed. And by the way, the Jerry Brown petition collectors, the signature gatherers, they're getting $3 a signature. They've really upped the ante on this because they're running out of time.
A few years ago, it was $1 a signature.
Well, the Molly Munger people only get $1.50. However, they have a chance to win a car.
Was that right?
Yeah, they're doing a lottery drawing.
Well, maybe I'll gather signatures then.
You want to win a car?
I'd like to win a free car, yeah.
When we come back, though, Jerry Brown he could end up calling you. That's right. One of those robocalls. You'll hear what he has to say with his pocket full of lies.
Asking you to give up more tax money. We'll play you the clip when we come back on the John and Ken Show, KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio.